share my screen and then we can start talking. Is my screen visible? Awesome. All right. I'll turn off my camera to get better connectivity. And all right. Perfect. So I know it's Saturday evening, a good day to go out, hang out, have some fun. But since you are still here, I hope you are energetic and eager to learn more about the world of data science. And in next 15 to 30 minutes, we'll see what a career in data science looks like, how data science is changing the job market, and what you can do about it, right? And after half an hour, I think we can open the session for questions and we can have one-on-one interaction. Would that be okay, ma'am? Anandi?
Please begin.
All right. So thank you so much, guys, for introducing me, but I'll give a little introduction myself as well. My name is Aditya Jindal, and I've done my pharmacy from Dipsar, followed by MBA from Naipur Mohali. I've been working as a data scientist for past 6 years. I've worked with companies like Syneos, ZS, and IQVIA, and I'm currently working in a company called PulsePoint. You might have heard about a company called WebMD. So PulsePoint is WebMD's daughter company. So as a data scientist, my day-to-day responsibility is to create statistical and machine learning models using data which help predict the outcomes of different decisions that management takes, right? And to uncover hidden insights from data to enable better decision making. So whatever I've said, we'll understand this in later slides. All right. Now let's talk about what is data science, what is AI, what are neural networks. I'll give you a quick introduction to that. I'll just bring this down here. Awesome. So data science is nothing but techniques through which the computer learns complex patterns from the data and is then able to use those patterns and learning to predict what would happen next. Now, this data can be of any type. It could be numerical, it could be text data, audio, video, pictures, etc. Now, nowadays, when we talk about AI or when we say AI, generally people are referring to large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini, which are very good in understanding natural language and text, right? So you all must have interacted with ChatGPT. So it's a large language model, which you know is very good in producing and learning natural language. The reason these models are so good at understanding natural language is because they were trained on petabytes of data, which includes books, news articles, blogs, and anything researchers were able to find on the internet. Now, because of this, these models didn't. So because of this training, because of this data, these models don't only understand how to generate language, they also started to understand a lot of complex topics such as medicine, maths, physics, and coding, etc. Now, how did that happen? Now, because the data that was fed into these models also contained multiple domain specific text, right? So if you go on the internet, you scrap the internet for every text that is out there. That text would contain a lot of information about different domains. So because these models were trained on those different texts, those different domains, these models became an expert in solving complex problems, writing code in maths, medicines, etc. Okay. Now, this is already revolutionary, where these models are able to score good in various competitive exams, solve complex mathematical problems, right? Write code. But they were only restricted to language. Now, since then, researchers have found a way to make these models read and create images, sounds, and even videos. Give me a second. All right. Now, these models, which can generate text images, are called generative models. Now, you have models which can behave and work like humans, but without taking any break and asking for salary hikes. And that is dangerous, right? Now, because of this, large number of jobs that were previously done by humans are now getting done by AI. and that too at very low cost and at very high speed. So these are just some examples of some of the jobs or some of the career paths which I have seen in my career getting slowly automated, right? You can see across these topics that most of these fields generally typically hire maximum amount of freshers, right? But a lot of these jobs are getting automated, and this has started to happen already. Now, because of this, the jobs which are typically done by freshers are now getting automated. The demand for entry level roles are declining, and hiring is shifting towards either tier 1 colleges, or I cannot emphasize this enough, towards the candidates who have strong technical skills combined with pharma domain knowledge, right? Now, that is something scary. Okay, you might not be able to see this, right? Because as pharmacists, we might have good domain knowledge, we might not, but we definitely do not have good technical skills. We do not know how to write code. We do not know how to interact with data. Most of us, 99% of us, do not even know how to operate Excel, uh, which is one of the most important skill in current job market, right? So that is a huge problem. Now, let's see why. What is the need to learn data science? Now, previously, what I've showed you, the threats that should motivate you to learn data science or get into data analytics. Now, I would want to show you the opportunities that because of which you should get into data science, right? There are these are some few points that I've jotted. So, majority of pharma GCCs, which are global capability centers, uh, that are coming up in India, they are focusing on hiring towards more tech roles such as AI and data science, right? The demand for data scientists is projected to grow by 34% in coming years, and no other job has such projection in coming years. Every other job has been projected to decline. Most of the jobs have been projected to decline, right? Now, data scientists commands highest salaries as compared to other jobs with same experience. So, for example, there's an example: a 3 to 6 years of experienced data scientist earns about 35 lakh rupees, which is approximately 2 times or 100% higher than that compared to a sales and marketing guy. This fact is coming from Michael Page, right? The demand for skills such as Python is growing by around 80%. So clearly, where there is demand, there is money, right? All right. Now, let's talk about three major skills which are required for you to become a data scientist or a data analyst. Okay. First is Excel and Python. Even before Python, Excel is the most important thing that everyone should learn, even if you want to go into data science or not, if you want to go into data analyst or not. Excel is something that you must know. Now, without Excel, you cannot expect to get paid good. Even if you are in pharmacovigilance or you are in research, anywhere you would have to interact with data at some point. You would have to maybe present data sometimes. Excel is the leading technology in that, right? So Excel is the first thing that you should all learn. Being a pharmacist myself, I know when I started my first job in IQVIA how important Excel was, and I didn't waste a single day after joining IQVIA. I started learning Excel on that day itself because I needed to do my job perfectly, and I needed to get promotions, right? So that's why I spent whole weeks learning Excel, and Excel is very important. So I did that while doing my job, which is little hard. You have a lot of time right now. Most of you are not working, and you can actually learn Excel. After that, I would suggest you guys, whosoever is interested in going into actual data analytics or data science, learn Python. Python would not only help you get these jobs, but it would open up your mind to think logically. Uh, our entire curriculum as a farm, yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. I'll address all the questions at the end. Awesome. So where was I? Yeah, I was talking about Python, right? The reason I want actually all of you to learn Python is because consider our curriculum as a pharmacist, right? Most of the curriculum involves us cramming things, right? Cramming the name of drugs, cramming their mechanism, then learning pharmacognosy, which is entirely based on memorization, right? There are very, very few subjects which actually involves us understanding something. I would even say that pharmaceutics is a subject which requires you to cram and remember a lot of things. What that does is that basically uh, rots your brain after a certain point of time, and basically uh, makes you a little but makes you a little fuzzy, right? Learning Python would help you unwind your brain and start to and help you to start thinking logically, which is very important in any job, right? So with the sole purpose of getting your brain active, I would suggest you to learn Python. But added advantage that you would be able to get into data analyst and data science roles. After Python and Excel, you would have to learn maths and statistics. And point 2 and 3 are specific for data scientists only. You do not have to learn maths, statistics, and ML algorithm if you do not want to get into data science role. For data analyst, first topic is enough. But for data scientists, you need to learn some maths and statistics. This involves a little bit of probability and your linear algebra, some matrix multiplication, and then obviously you need to learn machine learning algorithms. So all of these combined would make you a great data scientist. Now, where to learn this? I'll come to that at the end. All right. Okay. Let's move on. All right. Now, let's talk about some data sets and some analysis and some projects that a typical data scientist or data analyst do or interact with in his career and what I have done. So, Pharma is blessed with quality data sets. It has a lot of proprietary data sets and general data sets, and I've listed a few of them. So, first data set is global sales data. This data actually provides you the sales of each drug by volume and value. What do you mean by volume and value? By dollar amount and by capsule or unit amount globally for each country, which is very helpful, right? You would be able to calculate a lot of things and you would be able to uh, see how your drug is performing as compared to other drugs in different countries. So this is one of the data that uh, Pharma has, and mostly IQVIA is the provider of this data, and there are other small companies as well. So this is one data which every company uses. Then comes marketing mix data. So each pharma company interacts with physicians through different channels. They do that through emails, through face-to-face marketing, through ads on their computers, banner ads, right? All of these are called channels. So each company has a data set which records that by which channel and by how much amount we have reached to a particular HCP. So it tells you, okay, I've reached to this HCP through this channel and I've reached that HCP this many times on this day. This becomes very important to judge how your HCPs are interacting towards your marketing efforts, right? This particular data is maintained privately by each pharma company and also is provided by third party data providers such as IQVIA. Then comes marketing spend data. So the previous data told you that how much are we interacting with a HCP through a channel. This tells you that how much we are spending on each particular channel. For example, if I'm sending emails to, let's say, 300,000 HCPs across the globe, how much I have spent on that, right? If I'm showing them ads on websites, how much I've spent to show them those ads. So this tells you about the budget and spend that is done by each marketing company for each drug, for each marketing channel, right? Again, an important data set. Then come HCP level sales. This tells you that how much each HCP is prescribing for each drug. So, for example, if you have 5 drugs in your portfolio, drug A, B, C, D, E, you would be able to see how much each HCP has prescribed that drug each day. And that is very important. Why? Because you would be able to correlate the sales data to marketing data to answer whether your marketing is actually working or not, right? So that could be one analysis. Then you can also correlate marketing spend data with sales data and could answer that, okay, I'm spending this much, but am I getting a good amount out of that or not? Am I profitable on my spending or not, right? So you could answer that as well. then come then comes rep territory data. Basically, this data is about your sales rep territories, their alignments, their targets, and whom they have to reach out, how much times they have to reach out. So this is another data which is helpful. Then comes claims and EHR data, one of the most expensive data sets in healthcare. So claims and EHR data are actually medical level, patient level data, which tracks your patient journey through a healthcare system. Basically, this data contains information about diagnosis, procedures, drugs, operations, surgeries, whatever a patient has gone through in his lifetime. This data contains that information. Obviously, that patient is redacted. You cannot actually recognize the patient, but you have that data set. You also have the information about his gene testing, if he has done some tests and what are the results. Other tests as well. So, for example, if he has gone for a what do you call blood panel, what are the results of its blood panel, right? You can imagine all the questions that you would be able to answer through this data. Mostly this data is for US, but there are some other countries as well where this data is available. uh, Suppliers of this data include obviously IQVIA, then you have Compile, Forian. There are a lot of suppliers for that. Now these are few of the data sets that Pharma works with, but what do they do with this? So this slide talks about few of the analysis that I've done, and you, if you get into data analyst role or data scientist role, you would do. So first is market share estimation. It's simple. You would have to you would basically calculate the market share of your drug as compared to your competitors, as compared to other classes of drugs, right? And you would be able to answer who is performing well, how the market share is moving, whether the trend is going up or trend is going down with time, right? And you would be able to answer your clients or your leaders on strategies. Then comes market mix modeling. Basically, this helps answer that, okay, how much amount I need to spend on a particular channel for me to be profitable. I cannot spend everything on face to face calls. I cannot spend everything on advertisement. I cannot spend everything on emails, sending emails, right? I need to optimize my spend or my budget on different marketing channels so that each of those marketing channels could be profitable, right? So that comes from this particular analysis. Then there is something called next best action. Next best action is basically a mechanism eh, through which you can predict that whether sending an email to an HCP would make him write the prescription for my drug, or sending a rep or showing him an advertisement would make him write my particular drug. So basically, what is the next best action I could do to my HCP so that he could write the drug? So another predictive analysis. Then there is HCP segmentation. Basically, you segment your HCPs according to high prescribers, low prescribers, medium prescribers, and you make the strategy according to that. Then rep territory alignment, again, very so as the name suggests, you align the territories of each rep so that each of the rep have equal opportunities, and each of the rep does not any of the rep does not have very high load. So that's rep territory alignment. Then comes patient journey, one of the most important analysis. Basically, patient journey answers. So for example, if client comes and asks me to draw a patient journey for NSCLC, NSCLC is non small cell lung carcinoma, right? So what I would do is I would use claims data to start and to I'll answer that, okay, so patient gets diagnosed after suffering from this symptoms. Then he goes to diagnosis. In diagnosis, he takes these particular tests. Commonly, these are the results of those tests. These many patients are tested positive. These many patients are tested false negative. Right? After testing positive, these are the drugs that he start. So that would be first line therapy. Then comes second line therapy. Then third line, right? Then how much time does he stick to a particular therapy? So duration of therapy aa jata hai. Then which drugs that he sticks to the most, which drugs allow him to uh, survive more, right? Because it's NSCLC, it's a pretty fatal disease. So you do survival analysis. So all of those things are answered through patient journey. Basically, it helps you to identify gaps in current market or current therapy mechanisms, right? Then disease prediction. Basically, if there's a rare disease, it's hard to predict. Through claims data, you can predict when would next instance or next case of this rare disease appear in the market, and you would be able to pinpoint, okay, in this zip code or in this area, it is most probable to to see the next case of this disease, right, in the future. And then you would tell your pharma company or your client to basically invest in that particular area more, so that patient could go patient could go to test, right? And your doctors would know to screen for that particular disease, because that particular area is highly probable to develop a particular disease, right? And then there is evidence generation. So evidence generation is basically through data telling whether a particular drug is actually behaving correctly or not, whether it is impacting the life of patients or not. So you can do that by EHR data. So these are different analysis that you would be end up doing. These are just some examples. There are other and very interesting ad hoc requests that comes and that you would have to do using data, right? All right. The question was where to learn all of this. So we have launched a course which exactly caters to these topics and these learning outcomes. We've launched this course with in Dr. PK classes. You might have heard about that. You can just scan this particular QR code and you would land up to that page. This course includes everything. It starts from Python, teaches you maths, and also teaches you all the machine learning algorithms. We also teach you to perform few of these analysis. We also teach you about how these data sets look like. I've recently concluded a session where I've taught about claims data, HCP level sales data, marketing spend data, and marketing mix data, right? So you can scan this QR code. This would land you to the website and you can purchase this course. In order to learn Excel, we have another course in the same website. If you want to buy that, you can buy that course as well. So this would be very helpful to you. I'll pause there for to allow you to take a screenshot and scan this particular QR code. This course has weekly live sessions and recorded sessions where you can learn at your own pace. Awesome. And these are my contacts. You can email me at aditya.naipa2018@gmail.com or WhatsApp me at this number. I'll be happy to respond to you and your doubts. That is it from my side, guys. And now I can take your questions. Give me a second. Sorry, yeah, sorry. So there's a question from Nitish. He's asking, what is HCP? HCPs are healthcare practitioners, or also known as doctors. Then there's a question, what is the difference between data analyst and clinical data analyst? So, okay, clinical data analyst revolves around the data which comes from clinical trials. So they are specific to the analysis of the data that is generated from clinical trials. A data analyst is a more general role where you would end up analyzing or working with any data sets, any and all data sets. Should we learn SQL, Power BI also? No. Right now, I would not recommend anyone to go and learn SQL and Power BI. Reason is SQL involves you to deal with very, very large data sets, and you are not going to deal with that with those data sets very time soon. You would have to start with data analyst role where you would be using Excel most of the time, right? So I'll suggest you to learn Excel and then go with Python. Also skip Power BI. Excel for now, skip Power BI. Are there any other questions, ma'am? Okay. So basically, the slide was on how some fields or some work in PV is getting automated, right? But PV would not directly involve you using data science, but our aim is to help people in different domains to get into data science from their current fields, right? So what you can do is basically ask your managers about some little projects involving data a model data, right? You can then churn that data in Excel, slowly move towards and slowly move your career towards data science. So that's how it would benefit you. You would. Mhm. Yeah, I'm not sure what computational pharmaceutics is, but if it's about predicting the structures or knowing whether which particular drug would have what particular what do you call impact or side effects. So that is done through neural networks predictions, right? And this is something that we are going to teach you in Pharmax course. So it's all the same concepts used in different domains. So not active job assistant, but we do get requests from some companies to for us to recommend them good candidates. So what we do is we have introduced two certificates. One certificate is course completion certificate. Another certificate is basically you completing the test that we do after the course, right? Now, if you complete that certificate, you get the test completion certificate. Then only we would be able to suggest you to the pharma companies who come to us. So yeah. So not exactly in sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is your uh, final team which implements the strategy, right? Data analyst role is basically at the data side at the time when strategy is being formed. You help your management and your bosses to understand what market looks like and how to proceed using data. Once you do that, the strategy is formulated and then that strategy is given to the sales and marketing team, which finally implements it. So you sit at the back end churning data, getting the insights out of data and understanding how market looks like and what would work in the market. So that would be your role in data analyst. So approach would be to start learning as soon as possible. You are in second year, you just have 1 year left. So if you want to get into data science or data analyst and you are serious about it, start learning Python as soon as possible. We are teaching Python right now in our course, and that would help you basically. So there is no other option. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So having MBA is not necessary to get into data science, right? A lot of my colleagues are not from MBA and they are in data science. So it's about knowing the correct thing for the correct domain. So Excel, Python, maths, and machine learning algorithms, that is what you need. So yeah, I was just answering Sadaf only. So she's asking, Sadaf, I'm not sure. She's asking, or Excel would be a better start. So the thing is, if you have time, start with Excel. But the point is, Python takes a lot of time for you to master, right? If you start doing a job, if you are in job, then it would be very hard for you to learn Python. Instead, I would suggest you to start from Python, complete Python, then go to maths and machine learning algorithms. Excel you would be able to learn while at job. It is comparatively easier for you to learn Excel as compared to Python. I'm sorry. MBA goes to opportunity. So there are three particular domains that MBA people end up in. First is sales and marketing. Obviously, you start your career as a sales rep, then you move on to marketing, and then you formulate the marketing Another is getting into consulting. Now, consulting in itself is a very big domain. Consulting involves a lot of teams. You can get into strategy consulting, you can get into medical access, pricing, then you can get into HEOR, right? So it's a very big domain. And then there is opportunity for you to get into data analyst and data science role. Not exactly data science, you would not directly get into data science. You would start with data analyst role and then slowly move on to data scientist role. So the roadmap first, as I told you, is to learn everything that I've told you, and then after you have learned them, make projects. Start doing your own projects. So there are some websites which provide data and business problems. For example, Kaggle, and there's some website called Hugging Face. So these two websites provide good, huge amount of data sets and problems for you to solve from that data set. So solve those problems, post about it, make your resume, talk about it, and you will that would help you to get a job. So easiest way is to tap into your alumni network. If you do not have a good alumni network, I would suggest you to just go on LinkedIn and type data analyst or analyst or business analyst, right, on the search bar, and you would end up seeing a lot of jobs offering that particular role. A lot of companies offering that particular role. Start applying in them. But before applying, build your CV. Otherwise, you would end up losing opportunities even if you get an interview. है ना? So apply for, oh sorry, make your CV profile strong enough and then apply. I think you should not skip doing post graduation because B.Pharm degree has a very big flaw that no one is hiring B.Pharm directly. People, companies either hire masters, right, and that too from good colleges. So if you are just a B.Pharm, do not expect getting a good job. If you do not want to do M.Pharm, what you can do is you can give GATE exam and try for IIT. There are students from DIPSAR uh, who have done B.Pharm and are studying in IT and doing M.Tech. That is also a good option. But do a full-time master's course. B.Pharm would not be enough at all. No. So no one is going to teach you AI, Python, data science because that takes a lot of time. No one is going to invest on you for do for 2 to 3 years, right? You would have to know these skills. You would have to prove that I know these skills, and then they'll hire you, and then they can teach you the domain specific skills around it. So, for example, if you are a data scientist, if you know how to do data science, you get into a company. That company deals with marketing, right? They would teach you about marketing. If you apply for a company which does drug development, they would teach you about drug development, but you should have to have the knowledge about data science. Sure, sure, sure. I've not interacted with this particular field, pharma QA. I'm sorry, I won't be able to help you here. Pharma QA, are you talking about the drug QA, exact when they test the quality of drugs, or something else? Uh, I'm not sure about that. Sorry. Not much there. Basically, you for data science to work, you need data, right? You need physical data. So digital data. Without that, you won't be able to work. So Python does not require you to know maths. Python requires you to be able to build logic. That would be fine if you do not know maths. Learning machine learning algorithms would, so there are two options. You can learn machine learning algorithms without knowing the maths behind them. That is a shortcut, but that does not help you grow as a data scientist. So for you to be able to grow as a data science, you need to know some concept of maths, which I'll teach you while in that course. So those concepts include statistics. Statistics may be probability, what is the interpretation of p values, what are different tests, then linear algebra, and then matrix multiplication. These 3 to 4 topics are enough for you to understand any uh, machine learning algorithm. And then if you really want, you can quickly learn about differentiation and integration, the theory behind it. You do not need to solve numericals. आपको बस theory आनी चाहिए कि what is the physical meaning of this particular mathematical function. If I'm telling you to integrate some, if I'm telling you that this function integrates, this particular model integrates, what does that mean? Integration hota kya hai, karta kya hai wo? That is all you need to know. You do not need to solve the mathematical problems. So real world evidence का मतलब क्या होता है? It real world evidence is whatever is happening in actual real world and not in clinical trials. So what is happening in real world? People are taking medicine. They're getting side effects. They are getting treated, right? Or they might not be getting treated. So everything that is happening in real world with real patients, analysis on that particular data is called real world analysis, right? And finding evidence for your drug, that your drug is working in real world, is called real world evidence. Yeah, yeah. So anyone can join Pharmax course. There's no bounding. Mm, Data tech, sorry, what course? So one is MBA, another course was. So they are completely different. So MBA teaches you about the business and how business works, how balance sheet works, what is marketing, right? It's a holistic course about management and running a business. Whereas any course related to data is about data science or how to analyze data. It's more mathematical and technical driven. So do not expect any salary until unless you have a quick, you good hands on the skills, right? There are people in our course who are there just to get the certificate, and believe me, they're not finding any jobs, right? Till the time you're not able to prove to the interviewer that okay, you actually know the stuff, you won't be able to expect any job. Okay, now let's talk about actual salaries. After masters, if you get into any GCC, which is global capability centers that are coming up in Hyderabad, so companies such as Novartis, Sandoz, Sanofi, Lilly, any company. And if you end up getting into that, you would be able to earn around 9 to 12 lakhs. That would be your starting package. And after 5 to 10 years, about 5 years, you can assume that your package would be around 36 to 40 lakhs in data science and data analyst. So challenge is to get into those jobs, to learn those skills. Uh, So that is what I've told you in this talk, right? Start with the Python and Excel. Start with these two technologies, and you would be good. Just search Python course on YouTube. You would end up finding a lot of free courses. Yeah. So talking about Niper, first year you would learn most of the things about data science. In second year, you would end up choosing your guide. I think you would end up choosing a guide in first year as well, but that would decide your project. There is one teacher who I forgot all the names now, but there's or so one of those professors basically asks you to do projects on in data science itself, Prabha ma'am. So Prabha ma'am projects are typically on data science only. So if you end up getting her, you would make your CV really nice. So वो data science projects ही करवाती है. Regular MBA. So first and foremost would be, if you are able, try for CAT. And if you're not able to get into CAT, go for Pharma MBA. Last would be your integrated MBA program. Okay. Yeah, oh, definitely. So, all of the consulting companies like IQVIA, Syneos, they highly prefer any doctor. So, MBBS हो गया, BDS हो गया. They prefer these people a lot. Why? Because they have very good domain knowledge. And add on any technical skills, you would be good. Yeah, definitely. So, I would rather tell you to go for an NIT first and then go for NIPER. I want to know which to. So, masters in what? I mean, depends upon your interest here. How can I tell you that? So, if you are looking just for money, go for MBA. If you love wet labs, go for pharmacognosy. Oh, sorry, pharmacology or medicinal chemistry. I mean, these are all good fields depending upon what you actually need. Yes, 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 yes. Anyone can enter into a data analyst role. Anyone, provided you know the skills. I would suggest go for Niper, because Niper Mohali specifically, because of their good placement track record. IIT BHU, I'm not sure about their placement. I've not interacted with a lot of students or professionals who are coming from IIT BHU into these fields. So I would suggest you to go for Niper. So it's just a statement, not a question. English. Actually, basically, people do not know how to interact. People do not know how to communicate, and that is the biggest gap. Biggest gap, because that is the first thing anyone would see. Yeah, why? I mean, okay. So, what is the doubt in that? So, why not? I mean, if you have those skills, then why would you not get into any MNCs? Problem is having those skills. So, if you want to do a